All right, let's start with some breaking inputs which have just come in pertaining to the Nirbhaya case, where the Supreme Court has upheld the death sentence for the convicts in the case. It has ruled that there are no grounds as to which why the earlier order will have to be reviewed and the convicts will be hanged. So this is the latest that we are getting, where 3 of the 4 convicts who had been sentenced to death had filed a review petition, and that has now been overturned. And for more on this, we are joined in by our political affairs editor Kartikeya Sharma. Kartikeya, this is what the Supreme Court has said, that there is absolutely no grounds as to why the death penalty that has been given to these 4 convicts needs to be reviewed.
See, a death penalty is given in the rarest of the rare case, and Nirbhaya was rarest of the rare case for one simple reason, that it shook the moral conscience of the nation. It completely, I would say, impacted the image of then the UPA too.
Right.
Prime Minister at that point of time, Manmohan Singh, and UPA chairperson Sonia Gandhi had to come out and issue statements on TV. So when we talk about judgment on Nirbhaya, I would say it's a closure. Saleh, it's a closure.
Right.
For the family. Second, it is also about accountability. The girl died. She was lifted to Singapore, but she could not survive because of the injury. And third, people forget that this case is also known for the brutality of the act.
Absolutely.
Rape in itself is a brutal crime, but the brutality which was displayed by the accused was something which shocked everyone in the country. That is why, for this reason, the death sentence has been upheld, and very rightly so.
Absolutely. And also considering the fact, Kartikeya, that the incident happened in 2012, we are in 2018. A fast-track court had given its verdict. Subsequently, it was appealed, and the Supreme Court last year had also given its verdict of a death penalty. Now they filed the review petition. The judicial process still continues. Can they now file a mercy petition with the President?
I think so. After the review petition, they might have that legal avenue of sending a mercy petition to the President of India, but I don't think it is going to work. You see, this is something very, I would say, paradoxical, in the sense that sometimes the personal views of the constitutional authorities have an impact. Pratibha Devi Singh Patil, she believed in a particular religious denomination, so she stayed put on multiple petitions on issue of death sentence. But Pranab Mukherjee did not.
Absolutely.
He actually cleared all the files. So I think in this case, Ramnath Kovind, if the petition goes to him, he will reject it.
But my point, Kartikeya, was this: the delay that we see in this entire judicial process, it was a fast-track court which initially had given the conviction, and subsequently it was challenged, and now there are still judicial avenues that are still open. Is this one of those factors which just goes on to show that the deterrence that law should bring about so that crimes of this nature do not happen in society, that is being dented to a certain extent? See, 2 things happen. I remember by 2013, new laws were in place. CRPC was amended. Sushil Kumar Shinde was the Home Minister. These provisions against rape and other sexual crimes were made very, very stringent. But I remember that, it was a committee in which also Leela Seth was part of it. So a lot of people said that the deterrence to rape is not that everyone gets a death sentence. Deterrence to rape is that the first act of crime or first act of sexual crime, the punishment is so severe that it does not progress to rape. So I think I subscribe to that view, that the deterrence in the first step should be so much that the person who has a tendency like that, or person who you think that might commit a crime like that, should never think of doing so. Absolutely indeed, Kartikeya. Do continue to stay on with us. Meanwhile, I'm told that Jessica Taneja has also joined us over the phone line. Now, Jessica, you've been tracking this case very closely. The Supreme Court has now upheld the death sentence and has struck down the review petition that has been filed. Do we have any information at all as to what the 3 convicts, because the 4th one had not filed a review petition, it was a review petition that had been filed by the 3 convicts, what they intend to do next?
Right, Saleh, legally they are allowed another legal recourse, which is for curative petition, but we have to remember what the Apex Court bench has said today, because a convict is allowed again and again to review the judgment. So today the Supreme Court has drawn the line and said that only on grounds of considerable errors or apparent errors will this judgment that is given now today, which is upholding the death sentence of, you remember the last year that bench of Justice Deepak Mishra had given when he was in court too. So today they've marked the line and said that only if there is a necessity or there is an apparent error to review this, only then it will be reviewed. So might as well consider this to be the be-all and the end-all. And now the convicts will be hanged.
All right, absolutely indeed. We'll have to leave it there. We expect some more updates to in fact come in. And Jessica, and considering the grounds on basis of which the review petition had in fact been filed, now the lawyer who was appearing for the convicts, we're given to understand, had presented exactly the same arguments that he had presented at the time when he had been presenting his arguments when the case was being heard. And the judge, we're given to understand, had struck down the review petition because there was no new evidence or no new argument that was put forth by the lawyer for the convicts.
Lawyer M.L. Sharma, in fact, speak to the media and load the media at the same time, saying that this has become a media trial instead of the courts taking into consideration various facts of the case. But the reality, Saleh, is that the court has considered, and the court categorically said today that there are no grounds on which this petition needs to be, or this judgment that was given last year by the same bench, including Justice, Dhanumati in this one, that this didn't require any review. So upholding that fact that there is nothing to review in the previous judgment, there is a line drawn now that this will not be reviewed further. Of course, there can be a mercy petition sent to the president further on and another curative petition in hand for the convicts. But for the court saying that again and again, we're not going to come out and say that this is the final judgment and there is no apparent error in the judgment for us to review it, and to listen to you time and again and waste the court's time.
Absolutely indeed. We'll have to leave it there, Jessica Taneja. Thank you very much indeed for getting us the arguments that were put forth in front of the judge today. One hopes that this is enough closure so far as this case is concerned. Consider the fact that it was in 2012 that this gruesome rape and murder happened, and even now the wheels of justice continue to move on, and they move very slowly, and there is still quite a bit of legal recourse that is still available for these 4 men who have been convicted even by the Supreme Court.